What is going on, guys? Bingo here, and today I'm going over my regional result deck profile with Sky Strikers. I'm exhausted. Yesterday I barely made the regional. I checked in like 30 seconds before cutoff. It was crazy. I didn't even expect to go. So you'll see that in the profile a little bit, that it was just kind of not prepared, mostly in the side deck because I didn't have everything on me. The main deck I'm very comfortable with. I think it performed extremely well. I ended up going X3. I lost in the final round due to a miscalculation. Instead of having game, apparently I only had him down to 100 and it was a Danger Thunder player, so I just got bodied on the next turn. But this is more or less the build I'm going to be going with. I'll go explain a couple of things I'm going to change in the main deck, and the side deck is just completely not what I want it to be. But I'm going to go over the main, extra, and side, and I'll go over my matchups a little bit. I ended up playing one Madolche, Pendulum Endymion Magician, one Salamangreat, one Cyber Dragon Orcust, two Crusadia Danger Guard Dragon Thunder combo, whatever you want to call it, one Spiral, and one Burning Abyss. So overall, the deck performed exceptionally well. I thought it did a lot better than I thought Sky Striker would with one multi-roll, but once you get used to playing with it, it's really not hard to pilot. 3 Ray, she is absolutely insane. Most of the decks can't handle, they can't kill you through Ray. I know that sounds really weird, but even now, Ray, just having Ray engrave and going into Kaina with like an anchor, maybe a hand trap, is definitely enough to leave you with a follow-up, as well as just be able to start doing what your deck wants to do, because then you can go into Hayate and set up your engine. As long as you manage your one-ofs correctly, you're not going to have any problems. And at hand traps, we have 3 Ash. Ash was extremely good. I'm not going to play any less than 3, unlike the Ghost Ogre. I don't know if I didn't have the right matchups, but this card was extremely lackluster. Every Crusadia Guard Dragon player that I played against was playing around Ogre extremely well. They never left themselves in a position where Brotar wouldn't resolve, LP wouldn't resolve, even Pisty and Argapane, like they chain blocked the Saryuja. I'm not a fan of this card currently. It's dead against Salamangreat most of the time. I didn't play the Mirror, which I know is probably the most impactful one, but I don't think I'm going to go ahead and play Ogre, especially in the main deck, at 3 copies in this next in my next list. But I still have to do some testing. I know it's kind of that like anecdotal, like I only have a small pool to pull data from, but for me it was not what I expected, and it was not what I wanted it to be. I feel like even Bell would have been better, Valor, just about anything else. On to the Sky Striker spells. Obviously 3 engage. With this card at 3, you still have most of the time extreme consistency. Just this deck's been around for what, 18 months. I don't need to go into engage. 3 anchor. Just once you establish multi-roll, anchor's just as insane. Like the deck is it's like Salamangreat. The deck does exactly the same thing. It's just a little less often. And now you have to manage those the crucial one-ofs like Kagaria multi-roll. But honestly, it almost felt no different with one multi-roll. Nobody Cosmic Cycloned it. With the equip spell, managing that properly, I didn't have any issues. Now the issue was when my Kagari and my equip spell got stopped. That was when I had issues. So I guess he didn't stop my equip, but he spun my field spell and multi-roll was engraved, and I didn't have access to like MST or anything to shuffle the cards back into the deck. So that did hurt. And I noticed it, but that was just, it was a grind game. It was a Salamangreat player. So 3 field spell. I never bricked on this at 3. It's a consistency card. Why wouldn't you play it at 3? It just lets you see more Sky Striker cards, gives you access to Ray. There's no, I don't personally see a reason not to play it at 3. I've never bricked on it. At the regional, I went into game 3, probably 5 out of the 8 rounds, and it was just, I don't know. I don't feel like there's a need to play less than 3, and I know some people do. For the one of Sky Striker spells, you have to play all 3 of these. Jamming Waves outs, it outs Abramax, it outs pretty much everything. When you're just trying to pick apart once you get those 3 spells engraved, you've resolved multi-roll once, you have that ability to resolve 2 engages. That's when this deck shines. You can clear everything on your opponent's field, and then just start playing the game that you want to play. The one-ofs, I'm actually only playing 1 Shark Cannon, which is a little weird for me, but in testing, it was just not worth playing it more than 1. It does nothing on its own, and it's not that impactful like when Salamangreat was kind of running the meta. One of Eagle Booster, you have to play it at 1. I didn't feel the need to play it at 2. And the one of multi-roll, as well as the equip spell, which you have to play right now. So I never got hand trapped to death. Like, usually 2 was the maximum, and honestly, that it just wasn't enough for most of my opponents. Being able to once you have access to Ray, your Sky Striker cards do everything. Like, most of the time, you're playing a 9-card extra deck, because you just don't need those other cards in your extra deck. Now, they're good utility, like Phoenix, or just to steal stuff and link away with, but the Sky Striker cards are just so powerful on their own that once it gets going, you can't really stop it. 2 Goods, 1 Fusion. I've been playing 2 Goods, 1 Fusion for about a year, and I'm considering bumping it up to 3, because the way, like, it always feels good opening this card, because either you send the Fusion, or if you feel like your opponent doesn't have a hand trap, or you just want to be a little more risky with your plays, maybe it's game 2 and you're going first and you want to send engage and you have access to Ray just to get your engine online, you have access to that. And so I just hate bricking on this card. It's a hard once per turn, so opening 2 just feels really bad. So I might bump that up to 3. 2 Called by the Grave. This is kind of a last minute addition. When I drew it, it was more of a disruption card. I know, again, that's because I didn't get hand trapped when I had it, and when I did get hand trapped, I didn't have it. So it's just it's not really good logic, but I felt like I could play through 2 hand traps just fine, and most of the time you only have 1 relevant hand trap, because they're gonna, like, I'm never resolving multi-roll turn 1 unless my hand is just broken, like Ray plus 2 engage plus like hard opening multi-roll or something crazy. I'm usually just gonna hold it till the 2nd turn, so that I know I can try to resolve it going 2nd, and I don't have to put everything I have into the multi-roll resolution, so at least that way I can still play. Most of the time I search it off Shizuku, or maybe even search off Shizuku on my opponent's turn if they activate my Ray. But I'm considering just cutting this entirely, depending on how the meta shapes up. Now, Phantasma, it doesn't hit Phantasme, it doesn't hit Imperm, so like, it's a good card. If we had Crossout Designator, that would be really nice, but we don't. So 2 Called by the Grave, 2 MST. Now, this card did exactly what I wanted it to. It triggered my field spell, it triggered my equip spell, but I didn't really use it for disruption or back row removal. Now, in the Pendulum matchup, this was very important. I'm glad I had it. I didn't play the mirror, like I said, so I do think you need some main deck back row disruption. I don't think I would play more than 2, and I don't think I would play Twin Twisters. I'm playing MST specifically because it has that overlap between disruption as well as in-deck synergy, where you can trigger your field spell and still, it still has a purpose. Like Cosmic Cyclone, you don't want to neg with Twin Twisters. So yeah, that's why I'm playing 2 MST. And then probably the most controversial pick in my deck is 2 Desires. This card was amazing, You just don't activate it till you get the multi-roll out of your deck. I never got burned by this card. I did banish 2 Anchor, 2 Engage, and 2 Ray one time, but I was still able to play, and that's because this deck is so potent in what it does, and when it gets going, you just have to make sure that you know what you banished, and then you can play around that, because once you do, you should be fine as long as you didn't banish 3 of anything, or if you're put in a really bad position where you have to activate this card just to play the game. And that's why I'm playing it, because this deck, as consistent as it is, it does have issues where you open Metal Foes Fusion, Foolish Goods, Field Spell, MST. It was just something really weird. Like, yeah, I know you can MST the Field Spell, get Ray, whatever, but it was just, this gets you more cards for more disruption, for more plays, and it's a spell card. For the one of non-Sky Striker spells, the staple 3, Rhoda, Terraforming, and Upstart. No reason not to play it. Side out Upstart when you're going close to time. I even like to side out when I'm going second, because if I'm siding in impactful hand traps, I would rather to draw the hand traps on the turn I can use them rather than upstarting into them. So onto the traps. Obviously, I'm playing 3 Imperm. Just so Veiler can't get called by the grave, set it for floodgates, whatever. It has additional utility as well as protection that Veiler doesn't. So I'm playing 3 Imperm. Card I really do want to bump up to 3 is 2 Solemn Strike. This card, when I did draw it, it was extremely good. The problem was I felt like I didn't draw it enough, and I wanted to see it. So again, this was the first draft, first regional of what I'm doing. So 2 Solemn Strikes, probably going to get bumped up to 3, maybe with the Called by the Grave cut, who knows. Extra deck is pretty normal. 1 Kagari, triple Hayate. You just need, you almost max out on your Sky Striker cards, just not Kaina. 3 Shizuku, and then double Kaina. 2 Kaina rarely came up. It does come up. I know people say it never does, but it comes up in the sense that you area 0, target Ray, chain Ray. You don't want to burn a Hayate, because Hayate is one of, like, I don't know if it's, I'd say it's like honestly better than Shizuku half the time, especially after turn 1. Hayate is so important. You don't want to waste it. So you go into Kaina, and then you still want that 1 in your extra deck for utility. I know you can access it with the equip spell again, but you just play 2. Like, there's no reason not to. For Link 2s, we're playing Phoenix and Hida. In the matchups where Hida was applicable, it was very good. It let me win my game 2 against Salamangreat, just bringing back a Link 2 and then going into Topologic and just playing the game. I really wish like we had all the Charmers. If we had the Dark Charmer or the Earth Charmer or just other options, it would be really nice, but both cards performed well. I honestly only summoned Phoenix once. I only summoned Hito once, but again, I didn't play the mirror, and both of those cards are applicable in the mirror. So for the Link 3s, we were playing 1 Nightmare Unicorn and Ningirsu. Literally never summoned Unicorn. Summoned Ningirsu 3 times. In theory, that card's very important to have, and Ningirsu is just phenomenal. Non-destruction, non-targeting removal. I feel like you have to play it, especially with Abramax. Your deck very much struggles with that card, and the BLS link that Danger Thunder makes. Link 4s, Topologic Bomber, and Boral Sword. Made this once, made this like 6 times. Because once you establish, you just go all in, take all your opponent's stuff, and just Boral Sword for game. So the extra deck, I'm very happy until we get more cards. Like I said, the other Charmers, I'm not going to change the extra deck at all. Besides getting Ulti Kainas. And the side deck. Oh, the reason I did not get my invite, and I knew this going in. I wanted 6 cards for going first and 9 cards for going second. The problem was I left most of my going second cards at home because, like I said, I wasn't prepared for this. I didn't expect to go. So I just kind of grabbed what I had. And like I said, I got there so close to the event starting, I could not shop around for the cheap side deck cards. 3, there can only be 1, and 3 summon limit. Both of these cards did exactly what I expected them to. If I lost game 1 or I was going into game 3 and I knew I was going first, these cards were extremely good. And I honestly wouldn't change them out. These are like, I feel, the perfect going first Sky Striker cards, especially like when you're going close to time, but you're not like right at time. You don't want solemn cards in your deck. So putting these in just to be impactful trap cards is awesome. And then the going second cards, 3 Pankratops. This was supposed to be 2 Pankratops, but again, I had to make do with what I had. It's a great card. Every time I did get to resolve it, it was awesome, but given the diversity of the meta, I wanted my going second options to be pretty spread out and widely applicable. So yes, it's a great card, but I don't always want only Pankratops. And I would play 2 Twin again. Again, I didn't play the Mirror. I didn't play really any back row decks. I played 1 Pendulum. You just want more back row removal than the 2 main deck MST. And then these next 4 cards are basically all the cards I didn't want in here. These 2 DD Crows, which basically cost me my invite because these were supposed to be Lancias. And Lancia is still extremely important. Just it hurts the danger. I don't care what anybody says, unless it's like Crusadia Guard Dragon combo and not playing danger cards at all, it hurts that deck if it resolves. They like game 3 of the round 8, the dude summoned Levianeer 3 freaking times in 1 turn. So yeah, if those were Lancias, I'd be really happy. And then these 2 Kaijus were supposed to be evenly matched, which like those were just blank cards. I'd never put them in my deck. But yeah, so if my side deck was what I wanted it to be going into the event, I felt like I would have did a lot better. Maybe gone X2, X1, X1, who knows. But guys, that was my Sky Striker deck profile. Let me know what you think, or what you're playing this format, or if you think I should change anything in the main deck, side deck, and we can talk about it. Peace out.